Hello and thanks for selecting an episode of Quest. The series that I've called Quest, the videos that I make, it's just regarding stuff that I find strange and bizarre. Strange phenomena, mega coincidences, different light levels in the way the weather's behaving, the strange trails in the sky. Notably, the phenomena that's referred to online as the Mandela effect phenomena. Also, like the time itself, as far as I'm concerned, I've experienced it, I would say it's sped up by a factor of 2. That's how I've experienced it anyway lately. And it's not just because I'm getting older, it actually has sped up. I genuinely believe that and feel that it has. So that's just to name a few things that have been happening that are quite bizarre. So the series that I named Quest on my channel is just basically sharing my experiences with you, and if you want to leave a comment with your explanations, if you want, well, feel free if you want to suggest what it may be, because I'm always interested in learning these things, the bizarre phenomena and stuff. I'm fascinated in them, and I really genuinely want to learn what's going on and why things have changed and what's causing them, how it's doing it. So, but the video purposely is just for sharing with you, the viewers, the strange stuff that I find, at least anyway, bizarre and strange. So, hope you find it interesting. Thanks for selecting and enjoy. So today, the roads that the bus routes go on were some parts were for only buses and taxis and cycles, and other ones, bits were pedestrian zones, just vehicles for loading. Well, I wouldn't be allowed to drive those routes. I couldn't drive that in the car, so I had obviously to get the to make it more authentic, I would require to take that into consideration and adjust the times and mileage accordingly to get a kind of guesstimate to what the original bus route was back then. So that's what would need to be done in order to get it as accurate as possible, because you're not legally allowed to drive past the Royal Exchange in a car. It's for like buses, taxis and cycles, and there's another bit. So it doesn't really affect the drive that much, because there's only just small parts in the central areas of the route. But I was still able to replicate the route as best as I can in the car, taking that into consideration, because you're not allowed to drive that part. So calculations would needed to be done in order to get it as accurate, as authentic as possible. All that was considered and taken into consideration during the exercise. Throughout the exercise, I tried to get as close a replica to the route as I can, with all that in mind. I bared all that in mind, and I tried to replicate the route as best as I could. And I'd done that with the other exercise as well regarding tour bus, because Shore Terrace is part of that's it's a no-through route for normal cars and that. So with that in mind, I had to obviously consider all that during the exercise. So this is a copy of the old 17 route that I remember very well back in the day when I used to go around on the buses, and back in 1987. I was only 12, but I took an interest in buses at that time. The Volvo Elsa buses that Tayside buses had in Dundee. So the timetables, the whole thing here is the times, the acceleration of time has sped up, and I mean, I've known about this phenomenon for a wee while, and I'm trying to actually prove it, because there's no way that could happen now. The bus couldn't do this route in this time, because time sped up by a factor of 2. Now I've done an exercise today using my car to actually drive the old route. I remember the route well, I've recorded it and everything, I've estimated the number of stops, and I've kind of like calculated things out, which I'll explain in this video, and just sort of showing you the timetable. So as an example, I used to get on, the bus used to, you see I went through all this on the actual camera footage, but the 15A went one way, the 17A went the other way when it got to Whitfield. The times you were only given, the bus was only given an hour and a half to do the complete round trip. Now I'm not going to explain it all again, but it was only given an hour and a half basically to do the round trip throughout the whole day. The 17A bus route, 1987 version, 9 miles to Whitfield and back again. The Whitfield 17A went in the short way, went to Summerfield Avenue first and out the long way around the back of Whitfield. The full journey was 18 miles, a round trip. 63 minutes duration in the car. I didn't do replica of bus stopping, no faster than 25 to 35 miles an hour. I was driving that to try and replica the route. I analysed the time given by the 1987 timetable bus to complete the route was 90 minutes, regardless of the time of the day. Including peak times, it was still 90 minutes, and it was like this all days. The buses were slower on acceleration than the modern buses, and they were also busier. My car trip round the route took 63 minutes. The route was 80 miles round trip. Car trip average speed was 17.1 miles per hour. 80 miles distance divided by 63, which is the car trip duration, 63 minutes. Times it by 60 for an hour, gives you an average speed of 17.1 miles per hour. There's the calculation there. For the bus to do it in 90 minutes, which is an hour and a half, the bus average speed would need to be 18 miles an hour divided by 90 minutes, times it by 60 minutes to give you an average speed of 12 miles an hour. There's the calculations there. So basically, 27 minutes more than my car trip. This would be given for a busy bus, even during busy peak times, to do the full route, the full bus route. I used to travel right round on that route back in the 80s as a passenger, and I do not recall the bus being overly pressured for time. I remember most of the time it managed it consistently. I even remember surplus times where the bus would sit to make up its time. Drivers had time at 9 Wells Hospital to read the paper, go for a coffee at the driver's bucky there, and also to have a blether with me as well because I was a bus spotter. Occasionally it would be late, but not by much, and if it was, I would always get back on time fairly soon. The service was reliable and it always seemed to manage to cope. I've also done a bus stop count in my head, just from memory. I also do the bus route today, and the bus stops are more or less in the same place, so I could count the bus stops fairly accurately. It is an approximation, but there's roughly about 91. That'd be a fairly accurate description as to how many bus stops there are. That's kind of like how I counted it, so I don't lose count. I kind of made a count. Oh, goodness. So I'll try again. So 27 minutes to serve approximately 91 bus stops. That equals about 29 seconds per bus stop on average. That would be based from 27 minutes left over, which is a generous time because for my car, for the round trip in my car, which took me 63 minutes. But if that was a bus doing that round trip without stopping, like what I did to replicate that, it would be longer because of the sheer size of the bus. It's slower on acceleration, it would be slower to manoeuvre around corners and junctions and bends, etc., because it's a large vehicle. But with the car, it's much more nimbler and it gets around quicker. So 27 minutes left over is a generous time. It would probably be even less than that if the bus didn't stop at all. So it would probably be less than 27 minutes to serve all the 97 bus stops in total. And Of course there were times. So of course there was times where the bus would pass the stops because there was no need for them to be served. In other words, there was nobody getting on or off. But probably for a good 90% of the time, it would stop at all these stops. Or for about 90% of the stops, rather, I would say. And for most of the time, there was probably times where it stopped at all of them. Maybe one or two that it didn't. But at quieter times, it would probably be less stops. But even at that, it's still averaging roughly about half a minute per stop. So even if it was 80% of the stops, I still calculated it out to be roughly around about the 30 seconds per stop mark. Now I remember the bus, as I said earlier on that other analysis that I made, summary, that there was time for the driver to make up time in the town. In other words, he was early. When I done it in my car, it took me 12 minutes and only 3 minutes to spare, and that's without picking anybody up. How on earth that was possible for the bus to be able to do that route, picking up passengers on service, and still have time to be left over in the town is beyond me. And it was only an hour and a half to do the whole journey. And there's no way that could be done nowadays. I just know that time is sped up by a factor of 2. I've got the video footage. I've actually done another video, or I will be doing another video separately regarding the route, which I'll probably just play in real time, but on this I'll speed up the footage. The short terrace part of the tour bus was for non-public cars. It was just for buses, taxis and cycles. I obviously had to take that into consideration when I was doing the replica of the tour bus. So in order to get the accuracy and mileage and times for the tour bus, I had to take that into consideration, and I had to obviously say that if you're going to do the replica of the tour bus regarding time and distance, that needs to be taken into consideration, because the ordinary cars aren't allowed to drive that short terrace part of the route. The short terrace wasn't around at that time for the tour bus. It went a different way. It went onto the South Market Gate, but they more or less the same route anyway. So obviously with me driving it in the car, I'm not permitted to drive that bit in the car. So I realised that I have that in mind, and calculations were made. I done everything I could to make the tour bus route as authentic as possible with that in mind. I bared that in mind, that short bit of the route isn't permitted for ordinary cars. So that was in mind, taken into consideration during the exercise of this. So this one's regarding the Guide Friday tour bus. So I can't really show too many of them, but that's just to give you an idea. It's a tour bus operator that ran in the 90s, and Dundee had one. Oh, I done an experiment with the old Guide Friday 1996 tour bus version of the route. So the exercise that I done, I recorded the whole footage from the starting point, which was Crichton Street in the centre of Dundee. Then the next tourist bus stop was the City Quay, where the Unicorn is, and the Northcar Lightship. Then after that I went to the Discovery Point, then the Botanical Gardens, then I went along to the Swallow Hotel, then I went up the Kingsway and into Cartmerdon Park, went down as far as the zoo, and then it came out again. Then it came back at Cartmerdon Park. Then it headed for the Verdant Works, going via the Lochie bypass and the Lochie Road. After that, I went back to Crichton Street via the West Market Gate and the High Street. If it was pre-1996, the first season in Dundee was 1995, which I highlighted on the video, which we'll be doing in a separate video anyway. But when it came out the Verdant Works, it used to go into the town via the Ward Road, and then along the front of McManus Gallery, and then it turned down Commercial Street, and then it went and turned right onto the High Street, along the High Street, and turned left onto Crichton Street. That's what it done on its first season during the summer of 1995. But when it was coming back for its second season in 1996, they changed the road layouts in the town, and you couldn't drive along the front of the McManus Gallery, so it went the tour bus went down the West Market Street and then turned left onto the Nethergate instead, and then driven along onto the High Street, because it leads onto the High Street, and then it turns right onto Crane Street. Just a minor difference. So from there on then, it done that route. From 1996 onwards, it done that route into the town, as far as I recall. So, starting point, that's all the places there. Verdant. The last tour of the day would go up the Law Hill. So before it went to the Verdant, it would come out of Camperdown Park, then it would go along Cooper Angus Road, then it would turn left on the Hairfield Road. I keep getting it mixed up. But along that road anyway, it leads on to Strathmore Avenue. And then once it goes along Strathmore Avenue, it then turns right onto Lawside Road, up to the top, turns left, and then eventually that road will lead you to the top of Dundee Law. The bus used to go up to the top of Dundee Law, then it would come down on basically along Durrup Crescent, where it would pick up its normal route from the Lochie Road down to the, I think it was Smelly's Lane or something it was called. It turned right down to that ancient, that old central industrial estate bit where the Verdant Works were, and still is. We went along there and then it just finished the tour after it goes to Crane Street. But the distance anyway, the complete tour bus distance, I've driven it today and it comes to about 13 miles approximately. In my car, I drove the same speeds as the tour bus would go. The tour bus wasn't capable of going any faster than 38 mile an hour. It was a Daimler Fleetliner 1976X Nottingham bus, converted into a tour bus for Guide Friday, had a Gardner engine, had the semi-automatic gearbox, and it was maximum speed was restricted to 38 miles per hour. So I done no more than that in my car when I was replicating the route. The bus stops, it was a hop-on, hop-off service. Tourists could get on, get a ticket, pay once, and they could hop on, hop off along the routes at the stopping places. But obviously I didn't do that in my car, I just drove the route in a winner without stopping. And it took me 46 minutes to do the 13 miles. So basically that's what I've just said there. That's the edge of the bus stop. I remember it well. I met a good mate from there actually, and still mates to this day from the tour bus. He drove in it. He was originally a guide, and then he done driving as well. He became a driver, and from 1995 I've been good friends with him ever since. In fact, on 30th anniversary of the day, maybe do something, catch up with him again for old time's sake. But I've seen him since, but anyway, besides that, back to the subject. So analysis, there's 7 main stops along the tour bus route. The tour bus was allocated 1 hour, 60 minutes to do the full trip. If I remember right, it started from 9 in the morning and it finished at about 5:15 when it got back to Crichton Street. The 4 o'clock one from Crichton Street was the last tour of the day, was done the Dundee Law. So, first stop was the, start-finish point was Crichton Street. Second one was City Quay. Third point, Discovery Point. Fourth one, Botanical Gardens. Fifth one, Swallow Hotel. Sixth one, Camperdown Park. Seventh one was the Verdant Works. And then back to the start. And it was 14, that would give it an average time for the stops of, there's 14 minutes, because the car journey took me 46 minutes. That's generous. By 14 minutes is a generous time left over. Because with a car, it accelerates quicker than the tour bus, it's smaller than the tour bus, it manoeuvres quicker than the tour bus on junctions and corners. And I done it in 46 minutes. If the tour bus went round without stopping and done exactly what I done with my car by driving round, it would be probably even longer than 46 minutes, which means it's even less time than 14 minutes to spare to allow for stoppages, etc, etc. The stops would obviously include loading and unloading passengers. The tour bus driver and guide would probably have to answer questions from tourists as well. All that's included in a mere 40 minutes at best, and maybe even less than that. So yeah, there we go. So that only leaves, that's how I done the calculations. I just divided the times, 40 minutes divided by the number of stops, which is 7, that equals roughly 2 minutes per stop. That's only 120 seconds per stop, and that's at best. And it did stop at all the stops. It stopped at every one of them. 2 minutes, that's nothing, that's impossible. That's to include loading people up and down the stairs, saying see you later to the tour guide and the bus driver and asking questions as to when it's coming back, etc. 2 minutes, that was all. So when I remember it, I don't remember the tour bus ever running late. I wasn't under any pressure or anything like that. As I say, I mentioned about the being slow. So yeah, this would mean the Guide Friday tour bus would be, if it were only given that time, in today's time, the way the time is now, 14 minutes, that would mean the Guide Friday tour bus would be very tight for time. It would always be late. It would be like the current tour bus today, which doesn't have as much time to do the route. The current tour bus today is a modern bus. It's quicker. It has only an hour to do the tour, which is shorter than the Guide Friday one. There's just a single driver. It's a tape recorder for the audio. And it is running tight for time all the time. I don't remember the Guide Friday tour bus ever being like that. It seemed to always have plenty of time, which I remember it having. It was relaxing, there was time, there was no pressure in any way. I remember the tour bus sitting at Crichton Street for sometimes over 5 minutes. And it was only given an hour to do the tour. So it's physically impossible now, so I've kind of proved that time is sped up. And I've got the footage of the drive, because I recorded it all on there. So that's just an effort to try to make, as an exercise to try and actually prove that time is sped up. Because I remember the times clearly. There's probably, like as I say, with the one that I done earlier with the bus timetable in the 17A route. It's actually physically proving that time has sped up. And I know and I feel it has sped up by a factor of 2. There's other things I could do as well that I remember being able to do back in the earlier days that I cannot do now, no matter how hard I try. And it's nothing to do with me getting older and slowing down like it's been suggested. That's not the case at all. Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm actually going faster, working harder to try and get the same things done, and still cannot do it. Back then, it was easy. I didn't even cross my mind that there wouldn't be enough time to do it. But now, it's impossible to do. And I'm trying to actually physically prove it. But I know and always have known that time has sped up. Certainly within the last 10 years, it's sped up by a factor of 2, no less than doubled. Maybe even more. And it seems to be at the summer times where there's perhaps more sun energy, as we're told what's up there is the sun. Is what we're learned to be told. It's, but there's certainly more light, daylight, and might have more energy, might have a factor in it. It might be that's the time where, because I feel like summer sometimes the time just flies in for some reason in summer. I've noticed that lately. That could be when it accelerates fastest it is most, and then it just averages out through the year, but doesn't slow back down again. It remains faster, but then the following year it'll accelerate further again round about summer, and it'll remain that way. So it just keeps speeding up. But at the moment it's certainly no less than 2, and I'm being modest about it. Modest, right? It's no less than doubled, and I've tried to prove it this way for now anyway on this part of the video. So this is very odd. The amount of white froth or white substance on the road, it's almost like detergent. It's really pretty predominant. It's been quite sunny for a while, but it's certainly a hell of a lot on the roads. So it was a dry weather for a few weeks, but certainly for about a couple of weeks anyway. So it's the first rain we've had since yesterday anyway. Even still, there's a lot of froth. It's maybe not showing up so much at the moment here, but I can assure you there's a heck of a lot of white frothy stuff on the roads. And try to find out where I could get it shown most. I think it was further up, just at the head of the lights there. I'll see if I could try and get it, but there's a lot of froth. It's Saturday the 24th of May 2025. But this is nothing new. This is fairly recent, within recent years. I've made reference to this before, but I'm going to try and, because I was just taking the bus back to the garage and spotted a lot over in that bit there. The traffic goes through the puddles. It really does show up quite a considerable amount. Like some over here, there. Showing up quite a bit now. Hell of a lot. And what's really annoying is that this surface, they actually resurfaced this wood, and they've still got these annoying puddles here, deliberately. Look at that, just look how frothy that is. It's incredible, you don't just think it was car wash. It's nuts, it really is. And that road has been resurfaced, and it's just been resurfaced, opened up earlier this month. And there's still this annoying puddle at the side, and if traffic gets that, you're going to get soaked. How on earth is that? I'm getting out the road because that car is coming at its speed. So, instead of getting plenty of pictures of it anyway, you know. And it's not just here, it's everywhere, all around the country. But it shows up here more because the surface has been resurfaced recently. It's quite smooth, it's all been repainted, and it highlights it more, and yet we've still got these puddles there. That should have been fixed. Anyway, just logging it in. It's really bizarre. 24th of May 2025. So another thing that's quite bizarre, I find. It's 15 degrees centigrade, which is just about midnight. Now, it's raining, and the thing is, right, it's kind of like pissing me rain. Now, for the last few weeks, or certainly 2 or 3 weeks, it's been like really sunny and dry weather. And the temperature during the day was maybe about 15 max. Sometimes it wasn't even as warm as that, 14 maybe, 16, 17. And then at night it really get pretty cold. You know, it'd be down about maybe even 9.5, 8 degrees. In fact, I think I seen it at 7.5 degrees at one time. And that's when it's been blue skies and sunny all day. And at night it's been remaining dry, still a clear night, and the summer glow sometimes over in the, because there's no clouds in the sky, yet it's cold. Now it's cloudy and it's raining now, and it's actually warmer. It's been milder all day. It's the 24th of May 2025, and like I say, just a couple of days back it was, well, it started really yesterday was the first of the rain for a wee while, but prior to that the weather's been really great. It's been really sunny and warm, I'll rephrase that. It's been really sunny and bright and blue skies and everything. Yeah, it's not been that warm, maybe 14, 15 degrees even during the day. I think the warmest I saw was maybe 18, and it peaked at 20, and it peaked at 20, but it went back down to about 18 and 17 degrees. It was pleasant, really bright and sunny, but it wasn't as warm as it suggested. And sometimes it was maybe 13.5 degrees at some point, and it was, you know, really bright and sunny, and people were dressed as if it was a scorcher. It wasn't that warm, and at night it would really get quite cold, down to about 8 degrees and everything. Well, what's bizarre is it's actually raining now, and it's warmer, it's milder, it's at 15 degrees and it's near enough midnight. If this was just a couple of days ago when it was really sunny during the day, it'd probably be down to about 8 degrees and it'd be really pretty cold. So when it's raining it's milder, and when it's sunny and blue skies, when it's suggesting it's a scorcher, it's actually colder. Now I've logged it in, I know about the weather's been really bizarre in the last few years anyway, and regarding all sorts of things, light level, temperature and everything, but this is just highlighting it anyway. For just now. So 24th of May 2025, and it's actually reading 15 degrees centigrade. It's near enough midnight and it's actually raining. And if it was just a couple of days ago when it's been really good weather and, you know, really bright and sunny, and at night it gets really cold, yeah, it would still be, you know, clear night. So I logged it in anyway. This is really odd. It's strange as far as I'm concerned. This can't be right. It's 13.5 degrees centigrade outside and it feels it. It's 22nd of May. It's a sunny day. There's not a cloud, well, there's maybe a cloud there, but if you look at the back, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's really a lovely, pleasant day. It's been like that all day, and yet the temperature is only 13.5 degrees centigrade. Now this has been happening for within recent years. It's just bizarre how it's as cold as that, yet it's really, really summery like weather. Now it's been like that for the last few weeks where we've been having this great weather. It's been like, you know, blue skies, not a cloud in the sky in some instances, and yet the temperature doesn't really reflect that. The temperature's actually a lot cooler than you would expect. People are going around with shorts and t-shirts and that, yet the temperature's actually pretty cold. So it's bizarre anyway. I just thought I'd just log that in. I mean, it's just, well, 22nd of May 2025. And it's unseasonably cold for this time of year, for the way that the sun is as well. I mean, you can see in the wing mirror, there's not, I mean, if I turn it around, there's not a cloud in the sky back there, and yet the temperature's as low as that. And this has been happening within the last few years. So this is really odd. It's 13 degrees centigrade. There's not a cloud in the sky that you can see, hardly anything, and yet it's only 13 degrees. It's the 22nd of May 2025 and it's unseasonably cold. That should be like 23 degrees. So it's really odd why it's as cold as that. So I just thought I'd log that in anyway. So regarding these temperatures, it's 8.5 degrees centigrade. Now it's a clear night. You could see the midnight sun glow, and only yesterday, about the same time and at the same place as well, only yesterday, it's 15 degrees centigrade, which is just about midnight. It's kind of like pissing me rain. It's actually warmer. It's been a date. I'll show you the date for my own records as well. It's the 25th of May 2025. It was raining, it was cloudy, and it was warmer. It was about 15-16 degrees, and the thermometer's fine. It feels cold, as if that's correct. This is the 25th of May. Blue sky, midnight blue, and it's colder. Now, this is quite a bizarre, because if I went back a few years, way back, you know, 90s, early 2000s, it would have been about 18.5 degrees. You know, it'd been a lot warmer than this. This is pretty cold. I've seen warmer temperatures in winter than this, and this is like coming at the middle of summer. You know, this is, you know, summertime. It's 25th of May, you know, and it's been, as you can see, it's a clear sky. And over the last few weeks, or days anyway, when we've been having that good dry spell of weather, the sun was out nice and bright, yet the temperatures wasn't as warm as it suggested, and it did dip down quite a lot at night, just like what it's doing now. Now this is it's pretty bizarre, because, as I say, I've seen warmer temperatures in winter. So anyway, logging it in, it's yesterday, exactly the same place, more or less exactly the same time, maybe just about 50 minutes earlier in this case today, and it's about 8 degrees difference in the temperature, and it was bucketing with rain as I've recorded on video, and it was warmer, milder all day. Whereas today it's clearer, and it should be milder, it's actually colder. Anyway, I've logged it in, 25th of May 2025. Okay, so hope you've enjoyed that, or found it interesting, or whatever. If you say you want to, have you got any suggestions to any of the stuff that I find bizarre? If you've got any explanations for it, feel free to put them in the comments. I'd be interested to hear them, and whoever else reads the comments might be interested also in your comments. So feel free. So that's my experiences anyway. I find the stuff bizarre. So okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.